to introduce myself. I'm Christina Loncourt, and I know majority of you guys. Some of you I just had a presentation with. So I'm Christina Loncourt, and I am a career counselor in the Center for Career Calling. And welcome to, I think it's the 10th workshop that we're having with Life After College. So I know some of you, this is your 10th workshop. There's at least one of you in this room that's attended every single workshop, which is amazing. So hopefully you've all signed in and got your booklet stamped. And if you get 3 or more stamps, you actually get a free faux leather portfolio. Okay. So again, this is huge. You still have time to go to another workshop even after this, and then there's another one tomorrow. Okay. So I have the pleasure of introducing the speaker. So I want to go and do that right now. So again, this is for networking, your key to the hidden job market. And I have the pleasure of introducing Nancy Smith. And I'm going to read a little bio and just to give a little bit more of a background about her. Okay? So Nancy Smith is a consulting CFO to nonprofits and small businesses. She is a CPA and holds degrees from Seattle Pacific University, a BA in business, and the University of Washington, an MBA. She also serves on the Executive Advisory Board of SPU's School of Business, Government, and Economics. She has recently taught accounting classes at SPU, and she said she thinks she sees about a couple familiar faces, and enjoys mentoring undergrad students and helping them fulfill their career passions. So let's give a round of applause for Nancy Smith.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be with you today. And my job today is to get you excited about networking, tell you how important it is, and help you get started doing it. Let me get a little feeling for the room. How many seniors do we have? Okay, wow. Juniors, sophomores, freshmen, any alums? Okay, so most of us are seniors thinking about what's next, life after college, as it says here. Great. But when you think about networking, let me ask you this. Who has an off-campus job? How did you get that job? Just shout it out. How did you find it?
I got it through friends.
Through friends? Okay.
Volunteer work.
Through volunteering, great.
SPU job board.
The job, what's it called? Job link? Job board? Job link, okay, great. Great. Yeah, the statistics will consistently tell us that only about 20 to 30% of the jobs that are available out there ever get posted to whether it's JobLink or internet search engines or even Craigslist. More often than not, you're going to find it through somebody you know, either because you already know the outfit or because you know someone there. For those of you who have jobs, how many of you have openings at the place you work? Great. They're like, hey, keep those hands up. See, so there are people that you know that you don't even know that they don't know you're looking, and you don't know that they might have openings at their organization or company. So that's why networking can be so powerful. Not just for finding a job, but also for helping you kind of understand kind of maybe what career you want to go towards. You know, you're getting out of here with a degree. Maybe it's something that's kind of easily marketable, and maybe it's something where you're going, well, it's that history or art history degree. What the heck am I going to do with this kind of a thing? So as you try to focus where you're headed, networking can help you, and we'll talk about that. So we're going to talk about a little bit about what it is, why it's important, and how to do it better. So when we think about kind of what a network is, I mean, think about the word. It's like a net, you know, it's kind of tied together. You might think about, in fact, I came in and explained to the instructor was here in the room that I was doing a workshop on networking, and he thought I meant computer networking. And that's the age we live in too. But if you think about it, I mean, y'all are in the, this is all about social networking these days. If you're on Facebook, if you're on LinkedIn, you're part of a network already. And even outside of the electronic networks, I mean, you're already part of a network, right? I mean, you're on, you know, you're connected to people on your floor or in your classes or friends or folks at your church. You already have a network, I guarantee it. So how, you know, what does it mean to be part of a network and to really use not use, and I want to get away from that term. It's about really how you relate to the community you're already a part of. You already have connections. And it's important to, I think sometimes when we think about networking, we don't think about that it's actually a give and take. It's not about what you can do for me. You know, yeah, maybe I'm graduating and I need a job and how could I even do anything for you? But at least going in with that attitude that it's about serving each other in this process. So specifically in the job search, what we can do to expand our network is, so this is our goal. We're going to try and expand our network to people who are already doing the job that we think we might want to do or the field that we might want to enter. You're in the process of transitioning from college kid to career adult. And so the sooner you can do that and go, you know, I'm starting to be part of the adult world. And so to interact with adults and career professionals, regardless of what field they're in, is important. And then, of course, hopefully you're going to run across some potential employers. So one of the other goals that you're going to strive for in networking is in building those relationships. This is not a flyby. We're just, you know, hey, I'm going to get a job and then I'm going to not think about my professional network until the next time I need a job. Again, remember, it's that give and take. And so you want to be building relationships with folks, especially, I guess regardless of where you happen to be working. You might think that Seattle's a big city, but it's a small town. And it's a whatever industry you're in, it's probably a small community. So you're thinking ahead about, you know, these are connections I'm probably going to have for a long time throughout my entire career. So build those relationships and feed them over the years. And then just by doing this, it's going to build your skills, it's going to build your self-confidence. Maybe you're going to start with informational interviews. We'll talk about that in a second. And then, you know, you're going to be practiced at telling your story and at talking to strangers and going up and meeting strangers and say, hi, I'm Nancy. I'm an SPU grad. I'm hoping to be in marketing, or I'm hoping to be in maritime sciences or whatever. The more you do it, the easier it's going to be. It can be scary, especially at first, but it's practice, and practice helps to take away some of that fear. Any questions or comments about kind of at this point about kind of what networking is, maybe what it isn't, and fears or questions you have about it in general? Yeah.
I guess, how do you start that initial step? Because your intention is to network, but then there's still a person as well. So how do you connect with a professional, especially say, hi, I'm interested in your work field. Can we connect?
That's a great question. So how do you get started? How are you going to connect with a professional? We're going to talk about that. So maybe I'll just go ahead and get us to that point. So the benefits of networking, you know, it's going to help you find a job. It's going to help you get a shot at a job. And hopefully, it's going to help you land the job. So we already talked about how most jobs are not on any listings anywhere. So, you know, if you find somebody who knows about an opening at their company, lots of times companies incent their employees and say, if you recommend one of your friends for one of our openings, there's a bonus in it for you. So networking, having those relationships can help you find out where the job openings are. It can also help you actually get a shot at the job, can help you get the interview. So I had the opportunity, I saw a job posting, and then I went on LinkedIn and found out that I knew somebody who knew the HR at that company. And so then I contacted my friend, and she made a glowing recommendation to the HR director, and I got an interview. So we'll talk about LinkedIn a little bit here too. I know that Daniel had a whole session on it. That's a great way to be networking and to know who you're connected to. You know, I might know Christina, but she knows somebody else that I want to meet or is in a field that I'm interested in. Definitely it can, for popular jobs, there can be hundreds of applicants. So how are you going to rise to the top? It can be by having somebody who has an in with HR. And then it can help you just landing the job. First of all, because you've got the experience of talking to people, of interviewing, and maybe you've somebody you've networked with has given you an endorsement, like, oh, this is somebody that I have known and I think has potential. She seems to be smart. It can set you apart. So that can be helpful as well. It can give you a competitive edge. And you know, and you probably have more school book learning than you have education in the real world. So it can help to compensate for the fact that, well, you don't have experience, but you might have these connections that are going to speak for you. And it can help you focus because part of this process, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is kind of to figure out what you're going after. All right, come on. How do you get started? Figure out whether you're doing informational conversations or whether you're job hunting. So an informational interview would be, you know, if you contacted me and said, you know, I've been interested in a field of accounting, I'd like to talk to someone who's an accountant and just tell me what it's like and what does it take to succeed as an accountant and what advice would you have for me? Maybe you want to find somebody in advertising, or you want to find somebody in international business, or anything that you have an interest in. We can find you somebody to talk to. And this is where the Center for Career and Calling is going to be really helpful. Christina and her colleagues are just sitting up there on the second floor of the sub waiting for you to come and avail yourself of their services. Career counseling. I don't know, maybe you want to talk a little bit about kind of how you would help students kind of figure out, okay, I've got this degree, now what do I do? What kind of career does this prepare me for? And what sort of things does the Center for Career and Calling?
Yeah, I can just say a quick little blitz.
Excellent.
So we can help you with career assessments, and that is, especially if you don't have any clue what you want to do, we can make, to major in, or you picked a major and you're still not kind of sure. That really looks at what are your personality strengths and how do they relate to different careers. We can help you with mock interviews. We can help you with networking tips, especially if you're doing it but you're really not getting anywhere. Okay. We can help you with your marketing materials, which is your cover letter, resume, and your reference sheet. We have career classes. I'm trying to think of. We can also help you with dressing for success, especially at different companies. Some are, people wear jeans and a t-shirt. Does that mean you wear jeans and a t-shirt to the interview, or does it mean you wear a suit to the interview? We can help that, with you on that. We can even just help you with interview or internship and job searching too. So come see us.
Great, thanks. It's going to be important for you to try to focus what it is you want to talk to someone about. So it's a lot easier for me to help you if you come to me and say, I'm looking for a job in marketing, even though I'm not in marketing. I maybe know somebody in marketing versus saying, well, gee, you know, I'm graduating this spring and I need a job. Even if that's true, you know, try to pick a focus so that someone who wants to help you knows how to help you. And then once you've kind of figured out, okay, I'm not informational interviewing anymore. I'm looking for people who have jobs. So then you might have different kinds of conversations. You know, you might, again, in my world, if you want to go into accounting, you might want introductions to folks who have accounting firms or who lead accounting departments, and that conversation is going to look different. And then put your tools together, which is, again, part of what you can get help with at the Center for Career and Calling. Get your resume together. So when someone says, great, send me your resume, you're like, crap, I gotta go home and figure out what to put on a resume. Get it whipped together ahead of time. You might think about producing little business cards. You can get them at Kinko's. I don't know, can you even get them, would they do them for you here?
Sure, or Vistaprint.
Vistaprint, you can get them done online. Doesn't need to be fancy, but it's something that you can reciprocate with, something you can leave with someone that you're talking to. Get your LinkedIn profile, because that's the first place I go after I've met somebody. Because like I told you, I kind of stalk LinkedIn and figure out who I'm linked into. So get your LinkedIn profile together and start building basically what is your online resume and your online presence. And then even start to think about what you would put in. You know, cover letters might be a little old-fashioned, but maybe in an email, a paragraph or two that tells your story. Because if I'm going to introduce you to my friend Christina, you know, I might send an email to you and to her and say, here's my friend John, and Christina, I think he'd be a good person for you to get together with. And you might want to follow that up with an email that says, hi Christina, this is who I am, this is what I'm interested in talking to you about, and hey, let's get together for coffee. I mean, that can be the same boilerplate that you send to all sorts of different connections. So start to just think about what your story is and how you can say it succinctly, and then also what's the ask here? Because just about everybody is, especially if they've been personally introduced to, you've been introduced to them, just about anybody will have a coffee. I mean, they will. I mean, people are friendly and people want to help, and especially if maybe there's an SPU connection, or, oh, you're a friend of Christina's, well, you know, then of course I would have coffee with you. But kind of let me know what you're looking for so I can be thinking about how I can help you. That can all go in your email, and you can cut and paste and use that over and over and over again. When you do get that coffee or that interview, have some questions for me. You know, do some research. Have just some natural curiosity. Not like, well, I hope she can help me figure out how to get a job. You know, just it's a two-way street. You know, and be interested in what it is that the person does and how they got there. And then practice. Again, go through the mock interviews and some of the practice on each other. Sometimes you'll hear the description or the phrase elevator speech, and that's if I ran into you in an elevator, you know, so you don't have very long, right? An elevator doesn't take very long to go from floor to floor. So in just a couple of sentences, 30 seconds, whatever it is, just summarize what it is you're looking for. You know, tell me about yourself. I remember when I had one of my very first interviews out of college, and the interviewer said, so tell me about yourself. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was not ready for that question. And it's like, well, I was bored, you know. No, they don't want to know all that. You know, they want to know the highlights. And so practice your responses. Practice conversation starters. If you're at a networking event, which is a whole nother deal, right? But if, you know, when you first meet somebody, say you first, you sit down in a new class in a new quarter, and you're getting to know the person next to you. You have normal questions you ask, right? Hi, what's your name? Where are you from? Do you live on campus? What's your major? I mean, those are just the standard questions, right? What year are you? If you're meeting somebody at a networking event, you're going to have similar sorts of questions, different questions, but there are standard questions you can ask. What do you do? How long have you been there? What do you like about it? How did you come to be doing that? That's interesting. Anytime you show interest in somebody else, people love to talk about themselves. And then you don't think about how nervous you are. And I mean, it's great if it's actually genuine curiosity in the person, but even if it's just, I don't know what else to say, so I'm just going to keep asking them questions. That at least will keep the conversation going, and can, again, give you confidence, and you've made a friend now because, wow, this person is really interested in what I do, I guess. Also, have your own responses ready for those similar kinds of questions. So again, what are you looking for? Those sorts of things, and be succinct, and yet there's a balance, right? Of, I don't need to hear your life story, but I want to know about you, and so even you can write it out and practice on each other. Big plug for the Center for Career and Calling. Other resources, and resources for opportunities to network, and also for people to network with, are people that you've been working with all these years that you've been in school. So an advisor, your professors, the people in your program. Talk to them about what your hopes and dreams are, and they might think, oh yeah, I had a student 5 years ago who wanted to do the exact same thing. I mean, think about who can connect you to people that you need to talk to. The internet, blogs, books are out there to help you kind of think about different things you can, different ways to network, different questions to ask. I threw this on this slide kind of at the last minute because, staying connected, even in the kind of to what's going on in the business space, and even if you're not a business major, you still want to know what's happening, because the businesses are probably most of who the employers are going to be. It's not the public sector. So stay in touch with what's happening in town. For instance, today I got an email from the Puget Sound Business Journal, an update that says that Starbucks is having layoffs at headquarters. You'd want to know that before you contact your connection at Starbucks. Go, well, I'd really love to work at Starbucks HQ. Maybe today's not the time for that. So stay on top of what's happening. Also, in a good way, you might find out that a company's expanding, and then you go on LinkedIn, you go, well, gosh, who do I know that I could find out if they might have some openings for somebody like me? If you are hoping to go home, if you're not going to stay here in Seattle and work, and you want to go back to Portland or Denver or the Bay Area, wherever it is you're from, start subscribing to that. They'll have some kind of equivalent of the Puget Sound Business Journal, Seattle Business Magazine, the local stuff, so that you can start getting a pulse on kind of what's happening. Besides, it just makes you more informed, and if you don't know about the easy stuff, then it's you're going to look like you don't know what you're talking about. So finding people to talk to, finding opportunities to network. Again, while you're here especially, this is a great opportunity to leverage your SPU resources. In addition to the Center for Career and Calling, the Center for Applied Learning, that's what it's called, right? That's the office that runs the Mentorship Program. And who knows about the Mentorship Program here at SPU? Anybody had a mentor? Yeah? And what was that experience like for you?
It was great. It was super casual. We met for coffee a couple times, and then she gave me some opportunities to kind of volunteer with her work over the summer, and it led to an internship. And it's something, you know, they tell you when you're going into a mentorship, don't ask for an internship or a job out of it, but if you can form like a good relationship and there's positions available, it can lead to something like that.
Awesome, awesome. How do you get started in the process?
Really easy. You can just go on Banner, and there's a quick application. It takes 20, 30 minutes to fill out.
Okay.
So start.
Okay, there's an application through Banner. I think that you can probably get at that from the website, from the Center for Applied Learning page. So definitely take advantage of that. And they have, you know, it doesn't matter how esoteric you think your career is that you might want to investigate. And they have mentorships, mentors, they have kind of job shadow, they have all sorts of different things depending on what where you are in your kind of career search. And they've got a great database and growing all the time. So definitely check out the mentorship program. Alums, you know, upperclassmen that you knew that have graduated through the alumni office perhaps, although those are often in the mentorship program. You know, just start asking around. You know, maybe you're an FCS major and you want to open your own bakery. I can think right offhand of 2 alums who have their own bakeries. Let's get you connected to them. Great resource right here in the SPU community. Some companies have recruiting events. Check out job fairs. We have job fairs here. So just go to those and start to meet companies and make connections that way. Networking events in particular, some of them can be kind of cheesy, kind of like speed dating, but the good part of it is you're all there for networking. So it's not like, I don't know, sometimes have you ever like been to a new church and it's like, oh, we have fellowship hour after the service and everybody's talking to each other and you kind of stand in the corner and you feel kind of awkward. You know, at a networking event, everybody's there to network. So you can just kind of walk right up to somebody and say, hi, I'm Nancy, you know, this is what I do, what's your name? You know, and it's normal, that's what you're there for. I was going somewhere with that and I forgot what it was. I was so excited about networking events. Take a buddy. And then at least maybe you don't feel so alone and maybe, you know, your buddy can help you with, and if you can kind of either together you can go meet a new person, or if you've met a person, you can introduce them to your buddy or vice versa. So especially if you're kind of new at it, even better if you're at some kind of event where there's somebody who actually knows people and can introduce you around. That's super because, again, they're kind of vouching for, I'd like you to meet my friend Christina. Keep using Christina here. Don't neglect your friends and family. Again, part of your network that you already have. And, you know, without being obnoxious about that, if your parents know somebody who's in a career that is interesting to you, they're definitely going to meet with you and help you out just because your folks are friends. The people that you already know are already part of your network. Professional associations, and there's an association for everything, trust me. Certainly for CPAs, and you can hang out at that kind of thing. We love to talk about our profession, and you get to kind of get to schmooze with the people who are doing the work that you might want to do, and you might say, oh, I don't want to be part of these people. It's all a learning curve, and a lot of these professional associations have scholarships for you underclassmen. So get connected to those. Maybe you have a company that you specifically it's your dream job that you want to work for. You want to work for Nordstrom, and that's the only company you want to work for. Well, start targeting that. Find out people who work there. Find out someone who can introduce you. And a great example, volunteer. especially if you're thinking about working with a nonprofit. Just do it for free, and you'll get connected to the folks who work there and other people who volunteer. Maybe you wouldn't. It's not about finding an opportunity at that volunteer, at that nonprofit, but you're going to meet people in a whole different context. They're going to see you at work for free, and it's just a way to build your network. Any other ideas? Maybe stuff that's worked for you, or questions about maybe how to get started doing any of these? You do have to kind of put yourself out there. And that's why it's key to know what it is you're looking for. Even if it's true that you would take pretty much any job at this point. I had the opportunity, I was networking with somebody, and I was looking for a job, and they used an accounting software that I really wanted experience with. So basically, I didn't quite volunteer, but I worked for almost nothing to be able to have experience on that software. Win-win for both of us. I get the experience, which is probably big for some of you to actually get real-world experience, and he gets to see what I can do, and he gets the help he needs in a temporary fashion. So definitely think about what you can do, maybe just in the short run. Again, so kind of to get started, define what you're looking for. What stage is your career at, your career search, and what kind of help do you need? Get those tools prepared. The resume, LinkedIn. Be ready for when you do get those introductions. And just, you can start now. Start with who you know. Or ask for introductions. Think, who would know the person that I would want to talk to, and go at it that way in addition to the SPU resources that you have. And you know what? Be supportive of one another. So we're all a network right here. So if you have a friend who is looking to make a certain connection, that's part of giving to get later, in a sense. I mean, a part of networking is being generous and serving one another, even your peers in your network. And if you're nervous and scared and frustrated, and get a little support group together, because many of you are in the same place. So any other questions about kind of how to, anything we've covered here, how to get started, how to go about it, any success stories? Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you're beginning to network and you kind of have like a general idea of where you want to end up, who you want to talk to, but that person kind of has no connection with you. From the person's perspective, there's no connection. You could say, I found you out from searching something on Google and came to you. Like, how weird is it if you just kind of start a connection off the bat without any relationship, I guess? Or how do professionals perceive that?
That's a great question. So if everybody could hear, maybe for the video, we'll repeat it, that what if you just can't establish a connection? Can you just approach them cold, either a cold call or an email or something that says, I just, fan mail in a sense, what would that feel like? I guess it would depend. I would feel, I'd welcome that, maybe not as warmly as, if you'd been introduced from somebody I knew, but I think if you approach it with, this is why I'm interested in meeting with you, this is what I'm interested in, keep the ask small. Can we have a 10-minute phone call? Could we, all you can do is ask. I mean, and if you can't figure out a connection that you can get an introduction, then I think it's worth trying. I think it depends on how generous that person is, but it's not unprofessional, I don't think. Give it a try. Great question. Yeah.
How do you find networking events?
How do you find networking events? You can find them on, Meetup or LinkedIn. There's Linked Seattle. I think trying to remember if there's a website where they all live. Do you know, Christina?
I think, well, there is, what is it? I think it's, what is it, I Love Seattle or something?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
iloveseattle.org. I think that's right, yes.
Please spell that.
And because I think I've been there, and maybe we'll check it out here while we've got a few minutes. Yeah.
Also, every quarter, the Center for Career Calling offers some kind of an employer panel or opportunity to network where we do a little introduction and give you some tips on how to network, and then in a really safe environment, and we'll bring in, again, alums or professionals from specific companies or targeting to a specific niche. So keep your eye out for that.
Yeah, so good opportunity to have events even here. But yeah, there are some that are out and about. I know a guy who, he's a salesman for a living, and he's part of a little group where, and you see this more and more, professionals who get together, and he does insurance and she does financial planning, and and there's maybe 6 or 8 of them, and then they support each other with referrals and host networking events amongst themselves. So once you start kind of getting into this, you'll see them everywhere.
I'll just add to that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you already, sort of talked about this, but you can find out about networking events through the professional associations. And then you can also, if you're still kind of wondering, well, what's out there? You probably could do a Google search, networking events for, and literally put your major, Seattle, Washington, something will probably come up. And then also clubs, especially if it's related to your major. There's a lot of guest speakers that come into the clubs, and then they know about networking, networking events that are happening.
The Puget Sound Business Journal lists the events that are some in their and I don't know. Hopefully, we have it at the library, or I know you can get it online.
And we have it at the center.
Oh, and then we have it at the Center for Career and Calling. So those are all places to start practicing. Does this sound scary? Is it scary? Yeah, I know, it is. Yeah, Tony.
So here's this. This is something I observed one time. It was at the Seattle Business Breakfast downtown.
And what is that, the Seattle Business Breakfast?
Well, I was there for choir, so I'm not entirely sure what it was, but it's just like, I guess all these business people come together downtown. I think it was at the Wesley Hotel, and they pretty much just, we had the speaker. We had the Secretary of State lady.
Oh, the SBU? Yeah.
Yes, it was when she was here. Yeah,
Yes,
but
yes.
but the point is, I was there for choir, and I just got to sit around one of these tables, and so all these business people came into the room, and they started pulling out their business cards, and they just like off the bat, hi, my name is Frank. Here's my card. Like that's just kind of how they introduced each other. Is that actually a legit thing in the real world? Do people do that? And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, there are people who do that. I prefer to kind of have a reason to share cards with, and a great way to do that is to say, do you have a card? Which of course means they're going to ask for yours. But I see that a lot, and maybe it's just a shortcut. People just, I'm just going to start passing out my cards everywhere. I don't even know you. What am I going to do with this?
Something like I could just give them my resume since I'm just
Yeah.
here right now. Like, really condensed.
Yeah, so that's almost kind of like the dark side of networking, right? It's like, okay, I'm networking because I'm passing out my card. That's not really what networking is. A friend of mine who is a fabulous networker. He knows everybody. I asked him. I said, I'm speaking about networking. What are some of the things that you would add? And his advice was to have a tracking system so that you remember who it is you met. I have another friend who like, he sent me a referral once. I said, I'm looking for somebody that does this. He said, oh, I know a guy. And he sends me the Outlook page, and it's got like all the notes of every time they've ever met, and I don't know, the ages of his kids or something. I think that's good advice. I just use my LinkedIn, but the problem with that is that sometimes I'll see somebody come in up on my LinkedIn, I'll be like, who? How did I meet them again? And most of the time I can remember, but as you're starting out, maybe just start to keep a list, either in Outlook or Excel or Jibber Jobber. Google that and check that out. And figure out a way to kind of keep track of all these people you're meeting.
Yeah. Is there an appropriate way to, say like you're at a networking event or you do maybe an informational interview, you just happen to meet somebody that is in a field that you're interested in, and you talk for a little bit and then you want to respond to them, like to make them remember you? Is there an appropriate way, like send them an email, or what's a good way to do that without being like nosy or pushy, but professional?
I think a follow-up email is a great way, especially if you've gotten their card. So how do you, you maybe made a good contact at a networking event, but how do you start developing a relationship? How do you stay in touch? How do you, I met this young woman at a networking event and I don't know who she was, and how do you get that person to remember you? A note. And I think probably emails, I think a handwritten note would be a little much if for just meeting somebody at a networking thing, but definitely an email. Hey, Nancy, I really enjoyed the conversation we had about, such and such, and would love to stay in touch, or it can be that definitely go, oh yeah, I remember her. And then, maybe you circle back around. Let me know what I can do for you. And that's often something, even though you feel like you're not in a position to do anything for anybody at this point, oftentimes that's an appropriate thing amongst professionals to say, what would be a good introduction for you? How can I help you in your business? It sounds kind of crass, but it really shows that you care about their success as well. It's not just about, I really need to get more business. If you know anybody that needs a good CFO, I could really use an introduction. Okay, great. Well, now figuring out what business they're in, if they're selling photocopiers, well, next time, who would be a good introduction for you for selling the copiers? Even at your level, think about a way that you could say that how can I add to your success? What sorts of things, maybe it's just, hey, if you know anybody that needs life insurance or whatever it is, but they're always looking for introductions. People in sales know this really well, and you might just hang out with some of them, kind of watch them. And again, going in pairs might, especially to a networking event, or watching somebody so somebody can talk and then you can watch and kind of see how that went. So there's lots of ways to go about this. The big thing is to get out there, just start getting out there and proving that you can have adult conversations with adults. When up until now, you've been, growing up and going to school, right? So if you're smart and you work hard, you get grades. You get hopefully the grades you deserve. And that's kind of how life has been for you, right? So now it just doesn't work that way. It's like, okay, where's my job? And especially in this market, especially even in Seattle, where our economy is really good for some professions. You really have to be proactive to find a job, and then especially to find the job you want. You really need to get out there and dig for it. So if I really encourage you to just I want to kick you in the butt. Get out there, get to work, start talking to people. start making those connections. And if, maybe it's not your dream job at first, just get out there and do something. Temping is great because it gives you great experience. Anything else? These are really great questions. Yeah.
I know most of us are looking just to establish like a network or expand our network into the professional realm. But what about like screening that network after we've established something to pick the best out of the bunch?
So I think so. How do you screen? Maybe you've got a broad network, and how do you maybe focus on the ones that are your best connections? I think those just kind of happen naturally. I know I have people that I've networked with it was kind of just a one-night stand. We just had coffee, and I'd never heard from them again, and vice versa. I didn't maintain that relationship. And I have others that we really seem to hit it off, and we grab coffee or lunch every couple of months. As we can. So I think that's just going to happen naturally, and the ones that you are not going to focus on, they'll just kind of drift to the sides. And it could be just because, it really will be, it's a little like speed dating. There'll be some folks that you really want to hang on to those connections. And that, I think, will just happen naturally. But it's a really great question. I hadn't really thought about that. Give as well as receive. Focus on the person you're talking to. Be interested in them. How can you help them? You're going to be in it for the long haul. There's folks. I'm still connected to folks that I went to school with here. In fact, I was at a workshop a couple of years ago, and I ran into somebody that we had been on the same floor together. Way back at Hill, and we kind of reconnected, and we've since done business together. She's a banker, and I work for entities that need banking. So that could be kind of scary. Like, oh my gosh, if I do something wrong, it's going to live with me forever. But it can also be a good thing. So try to focus on the positive. You're building this network for the long haul. Start now. Even you underclassmen, not too early to get started, at least in the process. And it really is fun. Even for you introverts and the ones that are shy. I'm extroverted, but I think I am a little shy. So it takes some practice. You'll meet some fun people. You meet really interesting people. And then your journey will be richer for it, I believe. So you'll be part of the community in whatever city you're part of. Just have fun with it. So definitely avail yourself of the resources you have. I don't know if you've got some kind of closing pitch you want to make. I'll hang out here if anybody has any other questions. I love to connect people. So if you're, feel free. I brought lots of cards. I won't pass them all out to you, but as we said in my bio, I really am excited about working with underclassmen or with undergraduates to help you get started. So having said that, let me know how I can help you. Christina? Yeah.
So I have a tip and a challenge for you guys. So my tip, because you were talking about getting business cards, and you might go to a networking event and collect even 10. All of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, who are these people? So after each conversation, if you can, write on the back of the business card something about that person. That either oh my gosh, their sister went to SPU, or whatever it is, or they're open to internships or something. So when you go and follow up, maybe even the next day, sometimes you look at I've looked at the business cards and gone, oh, okay, who were these people? It's kind of like that fly-by-night. This way you can follow up. Oh, so great, talking with you, and it was neat finding out your sister went to SPU. Then they'll remember you, like you were saying, right away. Okay, or I want to follow up with you about the internships you were talking about, attached to my resume. Please let me know the next steps. So that's your little tip. And then your challenge, just like Nancy was saying, I think is really going out there and making it happen. Because it's one thing to talk about it and everything, but go and do it. And even if you are nervous or you're scared or whatever it is, the biggest thing you can do for yourself and the best thing you can do is really get out there. And the more you do it, the easier usually it gets. And what I found is the students and grads that have really gone out of their comfort zone and taken the initiative, those are the ones getting the internships and the jobs. Okay, so again, start now. And let's thank Nancy Smith for her time.